Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Sunday Sit Down. We are grateful for your presence here in this space. We do the Sunday Sit Down every Sunday morning. It's a chance for us to gather together to share in a conversation before we start in worship. It's kind of the narthex, the pre-conversation that we're missing out on in person, but we get this opportunity to do it here in this digital space. Sometimes it's just myself with another person. Sometimes I have two people joining me, and today is a day where I get to have two people joining me in person, which is so fun because we haven't done this yet, and it's a great opportunity to try something new, and we're excited. And we're really excited about the opportunity to do it, what we're specifically talking about today. So today, we get to talk about a piece of paper. Not really just a piece of paper.
It's not just a piece of paper.
It's not just a piece of paper. No, this is an award that Mitchell is receiving, but receiving on behalf of the church. It is the Harry Denman Award, and it's the Foundation of Evangelism. And this is an award that we're going to talk about why Mitchell is getting it. But it's a really big honor, Mitchell. Like, this is a big deal that you get to receive this award.
Yeah, no, it is a big honor. And I'm grateful that the cabinet submitted my name for to receive it. And are you allergic to the word evangelism?
Apparently I can't say the word evangelism. I almost said evangelicalism, and that's wrong too, so I was evangelism.
Evangelism.
I am the pastor of discipleship, not evangelism.
Right.
That's all I'm going to say. No.
Whoa.
Evangelism plays a role in discipleship.
Absolutely.
We can have that conversation.
Yeah.
So you reference the cabinet, and our other guest that we have here today is the Reverend Cammy Gaston.
Thank you. So glad to be with you.
Clearly, I told you before, right? This is a very casual conversation.
You're right. I can
Clearly,
see.
because I can't even say the word evangelism.
I'm feeling so much less pressure.
Good. I'm glad I can screw it up for you before.
That's really why we brought Phil on staff, just to
Phil's here to
lower the pressure.
That's right. I just messed things up right from the get-go.
I
didn't even. Hi, I'm Reverend Phil Dickey. I didn't introduce myself either. Yeah, this is really good. We're doing a good job here today on the Sunday Sit Down.
Cammy, thanks for coming. We really appreciate having you.
Totally. And I want to just kick off with you, Cammy. Like you reached out to us and said, what's the best way to present this award in the midst of all the craziness and the chaos that we're experiencing here with the pandemic? And my suggestion was, come and join us on the Sunday Sit Down.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you accepting that offer. I know it's a little bit different than what you've done for the two other churches that received this award. So will you give us just a little bit of background on the award and then lead into why Mitchell, on behalf of the congregation of White Rock, is receiving this?
Some people from your congregation may have already met me, but I'll go ahead and share just a little bit about who I am and where I come from. I'm Cammy Gaston. I am the director for the Center for Leadership in the North Texas Annual Conference, and the work that I've been doing recently has been in age-level ministries, doing a lot of discipleship work like you.
Which includes evangelism, just not that one more time.
Right. The bottom line is we just want to love people. We want to make sure they know the love of God. And so part of the reason why I'm here today is to celebrate that you have done that very well at White Rock United Methodist Church and with the leadership, particularly of Mitchell Boone. And so I'm here to talk a little bit about what that is. Every year we take a look at just the statistics from the past year. So in 2019, we looked through all of the statistics of how many people were baptized, particularly, or had professions of faith in and across the conference. And what I found, and I was kind of excited about that, was that in 2019, White Rock United Methodist Church had a 250% increase in
250%
year.
Increase.
In 1 year.
Okay.
And
increase in what was it?
An increase in professions of faith. So that's basically people that say, I want to dedicate my life, profess my faith, and I want to be a part of this church and its vision, its hope, its future. And that just happened just in a wonderful way in 2019. And so that's why I'm here today, because I want to just ask a few questions, really, of you, of Mitchell, give the award, and just ask, how did this happen? What do you attribute this to?
Right. Well, I think, the foundation of evangelism, I think, starts with getting really clear about who we're called to be in relationship with and who maybe other churches are called to be in relationship with. So I think, there's so many churches in Dallas. There's plenty. And, in a preference-driven world where church has kind of hinges on consumerism probably too much. I think we have to get real clear about our mission field, and that's stuff that we've been talking about for at least a decade, right? Like, who is in our mission field? Cammy was our district superintendent, and she did a fantastic job of reinforcing that with the Metro District. Like, it's not about who's in your church, it's about who's in your mission field. Yeah. And when we looked at our mission field and the communities and neighborhoods we're called to be a part of, I think, the foundation for an increase like that is laid 2, 3, 4 years prior, right? It wasn't anything extra we did in 2019. It was simply watching the harvest, right? And knowing that we're finally seeing fruit of really good work, and being led by the Holy Spirit. I think too, and so fundamentally, what does that look like here? It looks like a church that's unafraid to be really authentic, unafraid to tackle themes or issues that arise in our culture, and also hopefully beginning to put to bed this idea that progressive churches cannot grow, right? Which is, we're diverse, so I don't want to say we are only a progressive church. We have folks all over the political spectrum, but the majority of folks who are coming to us, they see the world in a particular way. And for so long, we've heard that churches that are affirming and welcoming of LGBTQ folk can't really grow, right? That statistically, everyone points to the decline. But hopefully we can put that to bed. Either we did that in 2019 or we'll do it in the future. But
continue to do it.
But the truth is, I think it's not about a particular theology. It's about a particular understanding of God and a particular understanding of grace, and making sure that folks know when they walk into this building that they're loved already. And Rebecca wrote this into the liturgy probably 2 years ago. Was that right, Rebecca? Like 2 years ago? Yeah, like...
Rebecca's off camera, but she's
off camera, but she's here. You're loved, you're accepted, and you're called. And every Sunday we say that. And that's really like the beginning of our work together every Sunday morning. And so reaffirming that to new folks is really invitational.
So I took Dr. Heath for evangelism, and I was terrified of that class. Maybe that's why I still have leftover issues. But the first day we sat down in class, and she said, evangelism has to begin with listening first. Most people know I just started here in July, but one of the reasons I was really excited to come on staff here was because when I looked at the congregation that has been built and the staff, that so much of it was built on this idea of listening first. And I see that as a part of the community, and I see the community appreciating that as well, right? Like listening to the heartbeat of what this community of East Dallas really is. And even now, right, we're expanding beyond East Dallas, both geographically, but also virtually, and still being able to listen to people. And I think that's paying dividends, right? Like you're seeing the fruits of that listening and how that's played out through this evangelism.
Yeah, and I think we attune our ears to listening when we first trust that the Holy Spirit, right, God is speaking, and can we listen there?
Sure.
If we can listen there, chances are we will be able to develop an ear that and a willingness to listen to our neighbors, especially when those two things are aligned, right? Because we believe that God was pulling us out into our neighborhood. Think creatively about how we afford this building and make this building work for the size of our congregation. But more than that, it was pulling us out in the neighborhood so we could actually get to know our neighbors again. And when we have, when we kind of create momentum there, right, folks find a home where they feel like they're heard, right? I mean, I would imagine that you never feel really at home if you're never listened to.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think that's the power of listening. And then you can become invitational.
Yeah.
But it starts with listening.
Yeah, I was thinking about the concept of prevenient grace. I know you all have talked a lot about the way we understand grace, but prevenient grace being that grace that goes before us, that recognizes that your neighbors already have grace and beauty inside of them, something to offer. And so I was just wondering, as you were beginning to think about your neighborhood and living out in the community, how is it that you understood God as going before you, or as God being in your neighborhood already?
Yeah. I mean, Mike Mather talks about this a lot. And he helped give me some language around this notion that the Holy Spirit is already at work in our neighborhoods, regardless of the church is like present in the neighborhood or not. And I think that fundamental, like once we recognize that the church does not have a monopoly on God's movement in the world, we can then really come to know this idea of the Imago Dei, and that we're made in the image of God, and we're already loved by God even before we're aware of it. So I think it starts there. I think we have to recognize that God is already at work in the world, and because God's at work in the world, God is moving amongst folks that we have not yet met. And when we meet them, if we're paying attention to the Holy Spirit, we can already see that they are that they're gifted, that they have ability, that they reflect God's love back to us. And that all starts with this idea of grace, that before they were even aware of it, or before they were even conscious, right, that God already loved them. And that kind of reverberates, I think, through the congregation, especially as we continue to draw unique and diverse families into the life of the church. And we see this kind of uniqueness that each person in our congregation possesses. And when we see that, we recognize, I think then, that the body in all of its diversity really is grounded in this love that goes before us, before we're even aware of it.
Yeah. That kind of leads me to another question,
Yeah,
curiosity
totally.
I have.
You're flipping the script on us here. Usually I'm the one asking all the questions. I love it.
Sorry.
No, keep going.
It's okay.
It's awesome.
Well, I'm an outsider, so
Yeah.
but
love
I
it.
have been watching, and my curiosity has to do with this comment you made about giftedness, and you probably both could speak to it. Is what kind of gifts have you discovered when you were listening? That question you were asking. And people have come in and said, I want to be a part of this. And most of the time when folks want to be a part of something, they also then want to engage or give their gifts. So what kind of things have you noticed that have sort of brought this church to life from the giftedness of your neighbors that come apart?
I think, you can look at it in several, a ton of different facets in the church, right? I mean, Rebecca does a really great job of cultivating the gifts that people already exist around the arts and around music.
Sure.
So it's not every day that choirs, double in size, especially in mainline traditions, right? Or that folk bands are created out of scratch, essentially.
Right.
Tons of churches, and for good reason, pay musicians to come in and play to bring life to a service, and it's a valid thing. But we don't do that here at White Rock because there are gifts present. So on Sunday morning, if someone walks in, the first thing they're going to see is the community doing worship, not only in what happens in the choir, the folk band, but also in leading in worship, and laity's involved in the leadership of worship, and the reading and the participating. So I think early on we see that. We also, recognize that folks within our community have, we have a lot of educators in our church. And so relying on the gift of those folks to help us think through curriculum has been helpful. We have folks who professionally have a lot of gifts and are willing to offer those gifts to help us organize the church or to make sure that we're ordering the life of the church well. And we have a very fluid leadership team process, right? And when I say fluid, I mean we're not afraid to ask people to step into those roles because of the gifts they have. And so when you have worship reflecting this kind of giftedness, and your leadership within a church is reflecting this giftedness regardless of age, right, or length of being at a church, which typically is a deciding factor for who's nominated for leadership positions, right? When you root it in giftedness, then all of a sudden the life of the church is really connected to the gifts that we all have. And it frees us up then to try new things based off of the gifts that our folks have. so we don't have to run a script every year. We ask, what does the congregation need? What does the community need? And do we have the people in our community to make that happen?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're winding down time-wise, and I have one kind of final question that I think will really wrap us up well here. So this is the final week of our stewardship series, Earn, Save, Give, and we're going to really focus on this idea of give. And again, I mentioned at the beginning, right, like you're accepting this award on behalf of this congregation as a whole.
Right.
And that this isn't possible without this church being an extremely giving church, right? Like financially, as well as giving of their talents and their times and their energy.
Right.
And like in sharing the abundant gifts of this church and sharing the good news of this church and what we express here and who we are as a community. So I'd love to just hear, like, from either one of you, right, like how that play, like, what your word is on this idea of wrapping this series around give in connection to this award, this Denman Award.
Cammy, do you want to go first?
Sure.
You want to ask the folks to give to the church?
Yeah, right, there we go. Really, we just brought Cammy in to ask.
To make the ask?
Well, I think it starts with, here's myself. You know, I mean, when I was brought this award, it has to do with professions of faith. I stand before you because I believe in a church that is going a direction I want to go. It's feeding my soul, and it's something I want to give to in order to make a difference in my life as well as other people's lives. And you know, as we grow in our faith, we understand that it's not always just about us and how we you know, experience the Holy Spirit or our church, but it's about giving so that others can have that same experience as well. And so I have actually given to White Rock United Methodist Church, and I believe in its ministry, and I want you to give as well so it can continue in really deep ways.
Yeah,
I love that.
That's perfect. All the way back at week 1, right? We're talking about earning. Early in my sermon, I said, you know, we're peering over the edge. And for, you know, several years ago, we were peering over the edge, and we were kind of facing our demise and our potential death, and like we were shrinking, and like it was anxiety producing. Now we're peering over a different edge, and that's the edge of possibility. And I think like when we think about what giving to the church is really about, it's about connecting people to a community where they can know that they are loved, that they are called, and that they are truly accepted as a member of this place. And what gives me so much joy is that we're going to take risk in 2021 because that's just kind of part of our DNA now. But the generosity of this church allows us to do it in such a way that it's really exciting. It's exciting to think about what we're going to do on digital platforms and how we're going to reach folks that we've never been able to reach before. On behalf of the gospel, invite them to work for the transformation of their neighborhoods and like seek justice in the world. Like we have the ability to continue to grow as a faith community, not for ourselves, but also for the betterment of Far East Dallas. And so I think evangelism and discipleship and giving, right, they're all rolled into one, Phil.
Totally.
But yeah, this is a fantastic opportunity for us to both celebrate the 250% increase in profession of faith.
Congratulations.
And hey, White Rock.
You get to hold that because it says your name on it.
All right.
And you have a pin.
Oh, yeah.
I have
Very
a pin.
important pin.
Yeah, great. I'm going to put it on my blazer. I
Harry
wear it
Denman
so often.
Evangelism
Evangelism
Award. I said
Award.
it.
Thank you.
Y'all,
Yes.
thanks for joining us for the Sunday Sit Down. Cammy, thank you for being
You're
here with us in
welcome.
person and
You're
present.
welcome.
We're so grateful to have you in this space. Mitchell, thank you. And thank you. Thank you for the work you continue to do on behalf of White Rock United Methodist Church and for all that you give. And we just hope that you give the things that you believe in, and we hope that you really believe in the work that we're doing here and the work that you're doing here in this community and in this church. So you've been here with us on the Sunday Sit Down. Take a break, go grab your coffee, whatever you need. We'll be back for worship in just a couple minutes. So thanks for joining us. Have a wonderful morning.